Well, our Alaskan adventure is getting ready to start, but we're technically not starting in Alaska. We're starting in Dawson City. We're transporting ourselves back in time to the heart of the Klondike, a place where the history just isn't told. It's alive in the streets, in the buildings. Dawson City here in the Yukon is a town that rose from the banks of the Yukon and Klondike rivers to become the epicenter of the world's most famous gold rush. This isn't just a trip, it's an exploration of a bygone era. We'll walk the same wooden boardwalks as the gold-crazed stampeders of 1898, marvel at the facades of historic buildings, and uncover some stories of those who's chased fortune and adventure in the unforgiving North. Dawson City is a place of incredible contrasts and enduring spirit, so get ready to discover a town that's a living monument to the golden age and untamed wilderness of Canada's Yukon territory. We are on the Dawson City ferry going across the river, and we've got a cool spot that someone told us about that we're going to go see. There's a campsite over there, but we decided not to try and see if there was a spot there yesterday because there is a music festival going on and it is packed in town, and they said that the campground is probably completely full, so we didn't even bother. But we are going across anyway because there's something over here that we want to see, and hopefully it's going to be worth the little river crossing. There's the paddle boat. You can get on that and take a little cruise. See the area from the water. Pretty cool to see an operating paddle boat still on the water. But we got something we're gonna see. Hopefully it's right in front of us. The history of the paddle boats is linked to the Klondike Gold Rush of 1898. With thousands of prospectors and a massive amount of freight needing to be moved, sternwheelers became the essential mode of transportation on the Yukon River. Their flat hulls were perfectly suited for the shallow and often treacherous waters. At the height of the gold rush, there were over 250 of these vessels plying the river, carrying people and supplies to Dawson City and bringing the gold back out. The paddle boats continued to be a crucial part of life in the Yukon long after the initial gold rush waned, serving as vital links between Dawson City, Whitehorse, and other communities. The demise of the sternwheeler era was not a single event, but a gradual process brought on by technological advancement and economic shifts. The Klondike Highway was a very significant factor, as an all-weather road system was built and improved, linking Dawson City to Whitehorse and other hubs. Road transport became a cheaper, faster, and more reliable alternative. The introduction of airplanes in the region further diminished the need for riverboats, offering a speedier way to transport people and priority cargo. The costs of running these massive wood fire vessels was high, and as the boomtown population and mining activity declined, it became increasingly uneconomical to operate them. Today, the Paddleboat Graveyard is a silent testament to this bygone era. Located across the Yukon River from Dawson City, the site holds the deteriorating remains of several sternwheelers, including the Mary F. Graff, the Victorian, the Schwatka, the Seattle No. 3, and the Julia B. Today, you can walk around the rusting boilers, massive paddle wheels, and collapsing wooden hulls, witnessing a powerful visual story of a time when the Yukon was a frontier defined by the rhythm of river travel. Now this is a great example of why it's good to talk to people. I ran into someone at a gas station who was not from here, but has been up here a lot of times. And I was like, well, what are some of the cool things that a lot of people don't know about? And he's like, well, have you been to the Paddleboat Graveyard? I'm like, never heard of it. I don't see it on any maps. I don't see it on any descriptions of the area. And he goes, you take the ferry across, stay to the right, make a right into the campground, stay to the right. And when the road just starts to make a left, you'll look down and you'll see a little beach area. Go down to the beach, make a left, walk about 2 minutes, and here we are. And for Rich and I, who love this type of history stuff, this is incredible to be able to see the remnants of the past here in person, I guess. If you are a very shy, introverted person, you may never find out about cool stuff like this. But it's good to talk to people. Ask, introduce yourself. Say, hi, I'm just visiting up here. What do you think I should see? And we've learned about some pretty cool things up here, and we're going to check them out. So there's definitely more to come from Dawson City. Well, we're going to take a little break, sort of, and go on a short drive. This is going to be Dome Road. This is going to take us up to, I believe, the highest point in the area and allow us to see the whole valley. I've been told by some locals it's definitely worth going up here, so we're going to check it out. Before Dome Road was built, the Midnight Dome, a prominent hill overlooking Dawson City, was a significant landmark. It was a place where people would climb to get a panoramic view of the Yukon River, the Klondike Valley, and the Ogilvie Mountains. Famously, a large gathering took place on June 21st, 1899, for the first recorded attempt to watch the midnight sun. While the sun actually set at 11:30 and rose again shortly later, it still was a memorable evening. The event cemented the dome's reputation as a prime spot for sightseeing and celebrating the long summer nights. Over the next 2 decades, the climb remained a popular, albeit challenging, activity for both locals and visitors. In September of 1925, the first road was built to the dome, starting from the graveyards near Dawson City up to the dome. The construction of the Dome Road was a pivotal moment. It transformed the Midnight Dome from a destination for the hardy and determined to an accessible attraction for all. This change was a clear sign of the town adapting to its new identity as a place for historical tourism. Our next stop is the historic Dredge number 4. This was a massive electrically powered gold mining dredge that operated from 1912 to 1959. It was the largest wooden-hulled bucket line dredge in all of North America. It's 2/3 the size of a football field and 8 stories high and weighs over 2,700 tons. This thing is just massive. It typically operated about 200 days per year, starting in late April or early May and ending in late November. It could process around 14,000 cubic meters of gravel per day, as each bucket held 16 cubic feet of material. During its operational time, it mined approximately 9 tons of gold. That's over 46 years. Today, that would be worth $972 million. So this thing earned everything that it made, and it made a lot of money. In 1991, it was excavated and moved to the current site, where you can see it now, and some times of the year, you can actually take a guided tour inside. Unfortunately, that wasn't open for us, so we just had to look at it from the outside and just marvel at the incredible size of this monster machine.
The history of the Sourtoe Cocktail is as peculiar and rugged as the Yukon Territory itself. A tale born from frostbite, frontier ingenuity, and a healthy dose of bizarre humor. It all began not in a bar, but with a rum runner and a very cold foot. Our story takes us back to the 1920s during the Prohibition era, when brothers Louis and Otto Lincoln were busy smuggling liquor across the Yukon border. On one particularly harsh run, Louis, while navigating a blizzard, accidentally stepped into icy overflow, thoroughly soaking his foot. Fearing pursuit by the authorities, they pressed on, but the prolonged exposure to the brutal cold resulted in Louis's big toe being severely frostbitten. To prevent gangrene from setting in, his brother Otto, with perhaps more grit than medical training, performed an impromptu amputation using a wood-cutting axe, and likely a generous swig of overproof rum as an anesthetic for both parties. To commemorate this rather grisly event, the resourceful brothers decided to preserve the severed toe in a jar of alcohol in their remote cabin. Fast forward to 1973. Enter Captain Dick Stevenson, a true Yukon character, former gold miner, and general purveyor of oddities. While cleaning out an abandoned cabin, serendipitously, he stumbled upon that very jar containing Louis Lycan's mummified toe. The moment of discovery, it said, was followed by a flash of inspiration, perhaps aided by a few rounds of beer with his cronies. Captain Dick, with a flair for the theatrical, decided to create a unique and unforgettable tradition. He brought the toe to the Sourdough Saloon in Dawson City and, with grand pronouncements, established the Sourtoe Cocktail Club. The rules were simple yet audacious. Brave patrons would order a shot, most famously Yukon Jack whiskey, and Captain Dick would drop the preserved toe into the glass. The initiation was complete when the drinker's lips must touch the toe. The first few members were locals and curious visitors, but word quickly spread, and the Sourtoe Cocktail gained a legendary, almost mythical status. It wasn't long before the original toe, affectionately known as Toe Hash One, met an unfortunate end. In July 1980, a miner named Gary Younger, attempting a record on his 13th Sourtoe champagne, tipped his chair backward and accidentally swallowed the revered digit. Despite efforts, Toe Hash One was never recovered. This loss, however, only solidified the legend and created a demand for more toes. Since then, the Sourdough Saloon has relied on donations. Each subsequent toe has its own unique, often macabre, origin story. A toe lost to an inoperable corn, another to frostbite, which was also accidentally swallowed, one stolen by a hunter and later recovered, and others donated due to diabetes or even a lawnmower accident.
Understood. You drink it fast. You drink it slow. Your lips not touch this gnarly toe. It's too late. No teeth. No tongue. No tongue. It's gone.
Ready?
Swallowing.
You got it. See your father? Hey, Carrie. No. We'll be drinking fast. We drink it slowly. And your lips must touch this gnarly toe. Your lips. No teeth. No tongue. No tongue. Yeah.
Let's do it.
You got it. So, Terry, that certificate, we recommend you laminate it and frame it. If you have a different certificate, a degree, or a psychiatric evaluation, put it right on the top. You can keep hanging with him, you're going to need a psychiatric evaluation.
Oh, for sure. Thank you.
So I'm sitting here on the front porch of Robert Service, famous Scottish poet, most known for his travels and writings about his time living in the Yukon during the gold rush of the late 1800s. And so in honor of the moment of being here, I'm going to read my favorite poem from Robert Service, and it's called The Cremation of Sam McGee. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close, then the lashes froze, till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and, "Cap," says he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of moan, "It's the cursed cold, and it's got right hold, till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." Well, pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail, and we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee, and before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains." Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow, and on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in, and I'd often sing to that hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then here, said I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks. and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked. Then the door I opened wide, and there sat Sam looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee.
Good morning from the Yukon. That's where we're at. We're in the Yukon. We're just outside of Dawson City, and we did that adventure yesterday. Saw some really cool stuff. The Paddleboat Graveyard, the old Dredge fort that was just staggering in proportions with everything. Very, very cool stuff. And today we're heading to Tombstone Provincial Park. Again, keeping it pretty local here in around Dawson and the Yukon. And tomorrow we head into Alaska. So stay tuned for that. I will say we have learned a few things along the way. We have some tools that like Rich is trying out. I'm trying out some different things, seeing how things work out. But so far it's been a great trip and we are just having a blast. These government campgrounds are really nice, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's super nice out here.
Yeah, they're fully equipped. They even supply chopped up firewood.
Well, sometimes not as chopped as you'd like.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes you got to do a little extra chopping, but for the most part, you know, it's really convenient.
Yeah, make sure you bring an axe.
Bring an axe.
Bring an axe
or
so that you
sharp
can
hatchet.
chop some wood up. Some of the pieces are a little big. If you're lucky, you can find some smaller chunks, but we've had to do some chopping ourselves. Looking forward to Tombstone.
Very much. Yeah.
Another kind of easy day.
Yep.
I mean, it would be a long day. It's probably 4 or 5 hours of driving through the park, but should be nice. The
But compared
views.
to what we've been doing.
Yeah, compared to 12,
day
13-hour days, it is kind of like a day off.
Yeah.
So we're getting packed up, and we're going to head out. We'll do Tombstone, and we're going to find a different campsite tomorrow, one that I think is going to be cool, and it'll set us up for going into Alaska.
All right.
You ready?
Do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get rolling. You may not be able to see it behind me because of the intense glare from the sun, but we are getting ready to do Dempster Highway. And that's going to take us to Tombstone Provincial Park or Territorial. I think it's Tombstone Territorial Park. Should be absolutely beautiful. Nice, easy day to day, just cruising around the park, seeing the sights, maybe some wildlife, and just some incredible views. So stay with us as we enjoy Dempster Highway and Tombstone Park. What a day, what a day. Man, just some absolutely beautiful scenery and just cruising through that park. And we're pretty far in right now. And we found this spot where we decided to make camp for the night. Look at this, we're right on the river. We haven't caught anything yet. Rich said he saw some nice sized trout downriver there in a little eddy. It's a little hard to get to if I'm taking Lucas with me. So I don't know if I'll get a chance to try that myself. And of course, we got to go over and see what Rich is up to over in the master kitchen. What do we got going?
All right, Marco, you have met your match. These are the beginnings of Spanish paella.
And what is that for some people who don't know?
Well, that is like the national dish of Spain. It's made with rice, chicken, shrimp, mussels, chorizo, sausage, vegetables.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything in there. Yep.
So yes, we are struggling with our food choices out here. You know, we don't really do the burgers and hot dogs too often. So good thing I got Rich with me to keep me fed. So tomorrow we head out back to Dawson City, take the ferry across the river, and we head towards Alaska. Finally, 10 days in, and we are finally getting ready for the big part of the trip, the Alaskan adventure. So subscribe so you don't miss anything. Stay tuned. There's a lot to come from this Alaska trip. Hope you've enjoyed what we've done so far, but the best is yet to come. I have a feeling. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the trails.